Life is a game, and like every game, the whole experience revolves around points that we call money. The game is basically set in a prison which we can't see the bars of, and from the moment a child is born, he or she begins being programmed to accept the prison we live in and to play by the rules of the game.
This is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Right now, we're inside a computer program?
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
These rules are made up by people who want to exploit the child, and unfortunately, the people who are supposed to love the child more than anything in the world are the ones who do the first bit of programming, all out of love, of course, and then school and society have their turn. As Osho once said, the individual has a totally different interest from the society because the society has no soul. The society is soulless, and if you become too much a part of society, it will reduce your soul also to a non-entity. You see, the powers that be who make up all the rules of this game did a pretty good job enslaving humanity because the inmates of the prison planet keep each other in line and they can't even see the bars of their prison. In fact, most of them think they are free, so they never try to escape. On top of all this, the act of simply just existing and continuing playing this game requires points, money, and the jobs you must do to make money are generally meaningless and unpleasant, which generates negative emotions daily on a mass scale for the powers that be to basically use for their own benefit.
This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony. The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need. There are fields, endless fields, where human beings are no longer born. We are grown. longest time, I wouldn't believe it. And then I saw the fields with my own eyes. Watched them liquefy the dead so they could be fed intravenously to the living. And standing there, facing the pure, horrifying precision, I came to realize the obviousness of the truth. What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop.
And when you get paid for selling your soul at some job, the powers that be take some of your money and use it to fund wars which generate even more suffering, which is essential for them to remain in power. J. Krishnamurti once said that everything is set up so that it hurts you.
You are hurt. Your parents hurt you when you are a child. Your friends when you are a child or boy hurt you psychologically. Then in the school they hurt you by saying you must be as clever as your brother or your uncle or your headmaster or whatever. You must, and then college you pass exams, and if you fail you are hurt. And if you don't get a job you are hurt. Everything in the world is put together so that it hurts you. Our education, which is so rotten, hurts you. So, you are hurt. Do you actually realize that you are hurt?
This is so because suffering and negative emotion are basically food to the entities that control this game that we're playing. In a book called The Active Side of Infinity, Carlos Castaneda shares the teaching of a shaman called Don Juan.
This is what Don Juan Matter said about the manipulation of the world. We have a predator that came from the depth of the cosmos and took over the rule of our lives. Human beings are its prisoners. The predator is our lord and master. It has rendered us docile, helpless. If we want to protest, it suppresses our protest. If we want to act independently, it demands that we don't do so. Indeed, we are held prisoner. They took us over because we are food to them, energetic, fear, low vibrational emotion. And they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance. Just as we rear chickens in coops, the predators rear us in human coops, human eros. Therefore, their food is always available to them. Think for a moment and tell me how you would explain the contradictions between the intelligence of man the engineer and the stupidity of his systems of belief, or the stupidity of his contradictory behavior.
The mind that they gave us is the ego, and it also expresses itself as what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body, which is basically the accumulation of pain from the past and includes the pain suffered in childhood caused by the unconsciousness of the world. Here's what he wrote about it in The Power of Now. This accumulated pain is a negative energy field that occupies your body and mind. If you look on it as an invisible entity in its own right, you are getting quite close to the truth. The pain body wants to survive, just like every other entity in existence. And it can only survive if it gets you to unconsciously identify with it. It can then rise up, take you over, become you, and live through you. It needs to get its food through you. Remember what Don Juan said, that they took us over because we are food to them and that they gave us their minds? Eckhart Tolle seems to be pointing to something similar. As within, so without. So if within us we have an entity that feeds on negative emotions, the pain body, then it makes sense that there's also an entity outside of us in the world that feeds on negative emotion. I mean, just look around, just look at the world. The fact that there is always a war going on somewhere in the world, That's not an accident. It benefits the powers that be. And they created this game in a way that generates enough negative emotion for them to feed on through wars, the banking system, our money system. And meanwhile, everyone is so focused on survival and trying to make enough money to relax that they never stop to look around and see the situation that humanity is actually in. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting my work. I would really appreciate that.